I grew up in New York, and I had moved into Manhattan right out of high school. I was going to college, and I happened to live down the street from a famous nightclub called the Ritz in New York City, where it was one of the first big nightclubs. And I just happened to be walking down the street when they were doing a load-in, and I stopped at the truck and said, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" I noticed cases, and it just happened to be the Police were playing. And I said, "Hey, you want a job?" "Doing what?" "Carrying some gear." So I started as a loader. Then they asked me to come back, and I started running a spotlight. And about 2 weeks into my job working there, the band Hall & Oates came and played there. And just, I was working with the sound guy, helping him set up his console. And I remember just watching at sound check the way he built the mix. And I thought, wow, this guy has a really cool job. I mean, he's like a member of the band. Wow, that'd be really fun to do. Not thinking as a career. A couple months down the road, the godfather of punk rock, Iggy Pop, was going on tour. Now, I had, at this point, never touched a console. And I got offered the tour through working at this club, and took a leave of absence from school, and went on tour, and ended up not coming home for 3 years. And so the first time I did sound, I'd actually never touched the console, and I was doing a live show with Iggy Pop. I had paid attention to a lot of engineers at this club, the Ritz, so I kind of knew the theory behind, you know, the mic comes in, you set the input gain, bring it up to the point of feedback, try to adjust the EQ so it sounds natural, and then move on to the next channel. And I'd watch guys do this. So I understood the concept, but I'd actually never done it. So the first show I did with Iggy Pop, I was petrified because I hadn't actually touched the console. I had already been hired. You know, we didn't do rehearsals then. I was hired, we were on tour the next day. Well, we weren't traveling with a sound system, so every day was a different PA. And the first day was the 930 Club in Washington, D.C. And I remember walking in and immediately saying, "Who's the house sound guy? I need to speak to you." Took him outside, came clean, said, "Listen, I just got this job yesterday. I've never touched a console. I have a really good idea of how this goes. I need some help." The guy was really nice. He said, "Well, what do you know?" So I said, "Okay, here's the input gain, and he said, "Okay, you're 90% there. Now you just have to do it." And he stood behind me when I did my sound check, and the band started playing. Meanwhile, 3 years later, no one on the tour ever knew that I wasn't an experienced sound engineer. Wow. And that was the start of my career. List some of the artists I've worked with. Well, I worked for Iggy Pop was my first, and then I toured with Marshall Crenshaw was after that. Then Todd Rundgren. Then I did a tour with Herbie Hancock, who's a famous jazz artist. I did both his jazz band, VSOP, and his electronic music. Then I toured with Steve Miller for a long time, David Bowie, Guns N' Roses, Madonna, Annie Lennox, Destiny's Child, John Mayer, Britney Spears. I don't know.
So
probably missed a few in there. It's been 28 years.
Like 20 in